Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins.
What's up, everybody? I am the Crypto Crow. It's about 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Man, I've been busy. I've been busy with a lot of stuff. How do I have dropped frames? I do not know. Oh, I wonder if Microsoft wants an update. It doesn't say anything about an update. Hopefully, I won't get too many drop frames. This is all such a pain in the butt. Haven't had drop frames in a while. Yeah, some crazy stuff going on in the market. I will say that. Let me look at this chart because Bitcoin shot up to like 6,800 bucks recently, and kind of tripped me out. And it didn't take long to fall back down. Like, it all happened within the same candle. Yeah, some crazy stuff going on. I don't know. To me, this looks like somebody sold and then bought back in. But I don't know. I could be wrong. A lot of people are coming after CoinBase, just, attacking them on Twitter and stuff because I don't know what exactly the deal happened. I honestly haven't watched CoinBase in quite a while. Here's the thing. When it comes to technical analysis, folks, I just don't think there's any realistic way of doing it accurately in this kind of market. I mean, with the kind of volume and the overall market capitalization right now, it's just too easy for individuals to play with people. I just don't think there's, when you've got a giant market cap and the market's booming and there's a lot of people holding and trading and things, it's a lot more difficult to manipulate what's going on. But when you're at, this low, I mean, a market cap of $211 billion, and it's just a lot easier to set things up and to kind of, dictate your own future if you've got the mass, if you've got the volume. But I'm hoping things turn around soon. I really, really am. But I've just kind of stopped making any kind of real prediction because it's impossible to know. I mean, look at this. This is silly. I mean, it makes no real sense whatsoever. It's not based on news because news isn't affecting the market that much in a bear market like we are in now. So it really, to me, just, and it's like, what reason would somebody have? Even me, I don't see, I mean, somebody could be like, Bitcoin's going to $5,000 tomorrow. And I'd be like, all right, cool. I'm not even going to mess with it because if they're wrong and it goes up, you screwed yourself. And, unless you're just a whale trading, it's pointless to me. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. I'm not a whale. I don't have a whole bunch of Bitcoin anymore. I sold it all. So, I mean, it's like I've got a little bit, but not enough to swing trades, not enough to make a big difference. If I had 1,000 or even 100 for that matter, it'd probably be worth it because, even a $100 swing, multiplied by 100, there you go. And that would be more fun, but it's also a lot more risky. And at this price, it's just not worth it for me to screw around with. So I just let it go. If it goes to $5,000 tomorrow, fine. But it's going to go back up when the time's right. So I'm not going to sweat it. I really don't even pay as much attention to the Bitcoin price right now because I just don't care. Like, it's just at a place now where, I mean, look at this. Granted, and here's the thing. Let's say I'm looking at these charts and I'm thinking, oh yeah, man, I expect a big pump. I expect it to go up to $6,800 and then immediately fall right back down within the same 4-hour candle. Big deal. If you're wrong, you totally screwed yourself. And here's the thing. Let's just say I set a sell order at 6,700 because I'm just like, I'm going to get my sell through. Probably wouldn't even have all sold because the volume, I don't know. It's all just silly to me. What's up, everybody? Tether is dying out. I don't know what's going on with Tether, but I don't really deal with Tether, so I don't really care so much. Man, I tell you what, it's been a real interesting. I'm going to tell you guys straight up. you know, all that stuff happened with AT&T. I started a petition, by the way, that I started linking around, like in the Murder of Crows Telegram channel and on Twitter and all over the place. I linked it under the AT&T video that I did. Again, not at all trying to come at any of these mobile carriers, but I'm trying to launch this petition because I'm hoping that if enough people spread it and share it, and it's important enough of an issue, and it catches on, and enough people sign the petition, that maybe some things will start changing. And you know what? AT&T's already caught up in a huge $220 million lawsuit, and if they don't want to make any changes right now in the middle of that lawsuit, there's still Sprint, Verizon, and other groups. I'm changing. I'm not going to say who. I may have done some things already. I'm not even going to tell anybody. But you know, it's time for all these mobile carriers to get their acts together, and you know, we'll see what happens. But go to the video if you haven't watched it, watch it because it's very eye-opening, and sign the petition and try and help everybody out. But in the midst of all that, I had sent a message out to Charles Hoskinson, and he was like, you know, he's like, we can do an interview if you want. And I was asking him different questions about stuff going on, and I told him I was working on a new video, and honestly, that man is just amazing. Like, I don't even know what to tell. I've never talked to somebody. So we did the interview that we had done a while back, and it was great. A lot of people were giving me shit because I interrupted them sometimes and things like that, only out of excitement, nervousness, and because I wanted to get to everything I wanted to really discuss. And, you know, I was seeing some things that were happening with Cardano, and not that it worried me at all. I invest in Cardano primarily because of Charles and his mind and his experience and his relationships and all of that. Not even really getting a solid feel for him on a personal level. And I don't know if he's seen some of my videos where I talk about, I don't know. I don't think so. The guy's way too busy to be worried about me. I mean, let's face it. But he's like, you know, we can do an interview if you want, and we can do another interview. And I'm like, yes, of course, I would love to. And he's like, let's chat. And so we did a live video. We did a video chat, a personal video chat. Not recorded, not for any of you guys, sorry. But it was the best shit ever. I'm not even kidding. Like, this dude, like, he is somebody that I could legitimately hang out with and have, like, a hell of a time. Like, he's not what I expected. Like, on a personal level, he's not really what I expected. He's like this brilliant dude who's trying to corner the world with all of this new technology. He's married and he's very, you know, serious. Like, when we were trying to get ready to do the chat, he's like, oh, damn, my wife just got home. Give me 30 minutes, you know. And he gets on and he's like, you know, happy wife, happy life kind of thing. When the wife gets home, I got to go bow and you know. He was just cracking jokes. And we were just talking so openly. And he's just fantastic. I mean, he really is such a fantastic dude. The thing of it is he told me so much shit that I don't know what I'm allowed to say, which is one of the reasons why I've been putting this video off, because we were supposed to do a live interview today, but I guess he's been caught up, and we weren't able to connect, and so I'm going to be a little cryptic in this video, only because when people talk to me in private, you know, I don't think any of it is secret. It's probably all in the roadmap. I didn't bother going through it all and confirm or cross-reference or any of that stuff. I've been super busy myself. Bought a handgun today. Asked everybody on Twitter whether or not I should get a Glock or a Sig Sauer. And honestly, I liked them both, but I ended up going with a Smith & Wesson. It's pretty beautiful, and I'll show everybody in the future, but I'm not going to do that just yet. And just personal protection. Like, around where I live, everybody walks around, you know, people walk around with guns on their hip, you know, open, you know, and it's not a big thing. I've talked to 3 different cops about it. They're like, yeah, it's just nobody cares around here. Everybody, you know, it's just not a big thing. You obviously, you draw a little bit of attention if you're in a crowd doing that. But you know, it's really just for personal family protection, man. Like, since the AT&T thing, and I was talking to some other influencers, and people were like, yeah, I know this guy, he was robbed at gunpoint, it was like a planned thing and all this other stuff. And I'm like, you know what? You know, I don't even, the fact of the matter is I literally no longer carry anything. I don't carry anything on my phones that's going to help anybody. I don't carry anything in my house that's going to help anybody. I don't have anything near me, but it's not going to stop some moron from trying. And that is what freaks me out. And it's like, you know, when you've got a family as big as mine, well, I'm just not playing any fucking games with any of these people anymore, man. And it's like, you know, I've even thought, if it's really like that, I should probably have some, like, security when I go out in different places. Like, you know, like these conventions and things. It may sound nuts, but it's like shit happens. And, you know, I don't know, man. I was even thinking of, like, having, like, an armed guard in Vegas just because, you know, not because if somebody can come up, oh, give me your phone. Like, okay, fine. You just cost me $800, dumbass, but you ain't going to get shit. But it really isn't going to stop people from trying. And the more people that recognize me, you know, let's face it, how many 7-foot-tall nerds are there in the world that are crypto influencers? It's not really difficult to pick me out of a crowd. So, you know, it's a little crazy, but Mark Busby, he's kind of a dick. We'll go ahead, since he's out, we're going to get rid of him for good anyway. Do him a favor. So anyway, that's that. So here's the thing, Cardano. Now, recently, some of you guys, and I'm going to play this video because I, from the looks of things, not a lot of people have seen this. But ultimately, what is going on, and I've seen some question and concern. There's no real reason to be concerned about this, especially talking to Charles about it. He's kind of like, so one of the biggest complaints that people have had about Cardano is they're doing a lot, it seems like they're doing a lot of stuff on the back end, right? But not a lot of it has been publicized. Not a lot of it has been finalized. And there's a lot of things that have been the responsibilities of a particular group, right? So you've got you have several foundations ultimately working together as a unit to progress Cardano. And so if you're a believer in the Cardano vision, if you are an investor in the Cardano future or venture, or if you simply believe, regardless of the loose regulation of the crypto space, that we still deserve crypto leaders to be accountable and to be brought to justice, then you should sign the petition to allow us to raise our voice and get Mr. Parsons to take the appropriate action. Apparently, Mr. Parsons is like chairman of this foundation that's really responsible for doing a lot that they really haven't been doing. And Charles gave me several examples in private that I'm not going, like, again, I don't know everything I can say, but I was like, man, like, good on you for taking this initiative and doing what you're doing. Because ultimately, oh, wow, there's a lot more since I last saw it. So out of 2,500 people and more signing it, pretty much as we speak in this video, 1,953, 54. So this is spreading like gangbusters now, which is fantastic. I signed this back when there were only a couple hundred people a few days ago. So people are talking about this. So I'm going to read this to you guys. As committed members of the Cardano community, we want to liberate the Cardano Foundation, which seems to us hijacked and paralyzed by its chairman, who by inaction appears to risk damaging the Cardano venture. We call on the CF chairman to consult and agree with the community and the CEOs of IOHK and Emergo regarding the election of our appointment of 4 irreproachable new members to the foundation, council, or to resign. And I'm reading this because I don't want to say anything that's not in this that I may happen to know, that I'm just being careful here. So I know everybody loves being read to. Dear friend, we kindly ask that you give us your time and read our petition in the very best interest of the Cardano venture, ecosystem, and community. Your contribution here is of utmost importance and highly appreciated. The Cardano venture has 3 core pillars: IOHK, the cryptographic research and software development company led by Charles Hoskinson; Emergo, the startup incubator of commercial ventures to be developed on Cardano, led by Ken Kodama; and the Cardano Foundation, the nonprofit organization that supervises the development of Cardano and its ecosystem, led by Mr. Michael Parsons. I mean, without going into all of this, I mean, this is because it's kind of lengthy. I won't read the whole thing. But in a nutshell, Mr. Parsons has hired some family members and ultimately are kind of just screwing shit up. I mean, in a nutshell, they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything near what's expected of the foundation to continue making progress for the project. And Charles has ultimately had enough. And he's like, look, if you guys aren't going to play your hand and do your jobs, and you're going to hire family members that aren't also doing their jobs, well, we're going to go ahead and hire a bunch of other people to replace you, and you'd be best suited just resigning and moving on with your life. That's pretty much what it boils down to. And, you know, Charles and I talked about this quite a bit, and I was just kind of blown away, man. I was like, wow, this makes a lot of sense. And, you know, Charles has just basically had enough, and other people associated with the project have had enough. And ultimately what they're doing is they're basically taking control. They've already hired a multitude of people to replace the positions that are ultimately tied up by those that hold the seats at the Cardano Foundation. So they basically have already cut the cord and said, okay, you guys are basically not even really a part of this at this point. You're just still holding titles. Why don't you guys just quit? And by the way, here's a petition. Sign it. You know, these are all the people that signed. They believe the same thing. They agree. They want to help the project. Now, that being said, you know, I'll play this video towards the end so that, you know, those of you that want to see it and you're interested, you'll have the opportunity to do that. But if you're not interested in seeing the video right now, for whatever reason, you're pressed for time or what have you, you don't have to. But it's a very good video. And he does talk about a lot of the things he and I discussed in private in this video as well. So it's worth the watch. I want you guys to see it because I know a lot of you that are followers of mine hold Cardano. And, you know, I will tell you, and it's like even watching the interviews, watching the videos, and then talking to him directly off camera, you know, he's just such a cool ass dude. And there's, like, if you look at his Twitter, so this is his Twitter account, all right? I'm going to show you guys something on his Twitter. Wait a minute, what is that? This is Chainwise. Oh, that's right. Charles Hoskinson is going to be speaking at Chainwise in Cincinnati on February 15th and 16th. He's committed. He told me last night he's in. He loves Cincinnati. He's looking forward to it. He's going to be speaking at Chainwise, and I posted about it, and he, of course, retweeted on his account basically to verify and say, yes, it's true. And I could not be more grateful to have this man at my convention. Like, and basically what he's going to be discussing, I mean, think about it. Between now and February, we've got quite a while. We've got some time, okay? And, you know, yeah, congrats. Thank you, guys. Like, I couldn't be happier. And I told him, too, man. Like, we had the best talk. We had the best time. And I just look forward to shaking the man's hand and getting him drunk. Nah, I'm kidding. I don't know if he's going to do that. But, you know, I just want to hang out, man. And I would love to get him a little tipsy and pick his brain about crypto and just have some fun, man, off the record, off the books, away from everybody. But you know, and I know that he's like, yeah, we'll bring a bunch of people. We'll have a lot of fun. And he's just so amazing. Like, I can't even tell you. I wish I could have said, hey, Charles, can I record this? Because I'm sure it's going to be great. And I want everybody to see how damn cool you are. But of course I didn't. But yeah, he's going to be there. Now, for those of you out there that you're maybe for whatever reason, you don't know that, like, I mean, people call me King Cardano for a reason. It's at like 7 cents right now, right? It's 7 cents. It's up almost 5%. I don't even care about any of this right now. To me, Cardano, if somebody is just now getting into crypto, Cardano to me is in my opinion, again, not financial advice, and it's not because Charles is coming to my convention. It's not because of this whole thing with the Cardano Foundation. It has nothing to do with any of that. I am telling you guys now, I am getting more. Not saying when, not even going to tell you guys when I get more. If I have already, maybe I did, who knows? I mean, I'm just going to leave it all out in the open. But I am going to say that Cardano to me is probably the #1 coin I would personally and am personally accumulating for 2019. And, you know, think about it. Charles, I mean, okay, first of all, you've got the guy, Charles Hoskinson, who was like basically co-creator of Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, and now the founder of Cardano. What all does Cardano do? People, I couldn't even break down in a notepad everything that is already getting close to completion and planned for near completion in the near future with Cardano. What I can say, man, I wish I knew I wish, Charles, if you watch this, I wish we'd have done this video today because I'm really struggling. I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not. All I can say is some of the most amazing shit ever was basically broken down for me. And dude, I had chills, man. When I'm listening to this, and it's not just what's happening. It's listening to Charles, listening to his enthusiasm as he's explaining the different relationships that he's been building. And I know some of this stuff is not known to the public yet. I know it's not because I haven't heard anything about any of it prior to just our private discussion, which is one of the reasons I'm so afraid to kind of say anything in detail. But, you know, it's like, let's just put it this way. Anytime, you know, you have companies out there who they set out to do something, and they say, oh, well, you know, let's say Haskell, for example, you know, Haskell being like a fantastic programming language. It's really difficult, but, you know, people that develop on it, you know, I mean, it's used for like military applications and things like that because pretty much it's one and done. You know, it's done. You don't have to bug fix. And, you know, rather than like go to, let's say I want to create something like Haskell for my blockchain, but I don't want to, I can either go out and hire somebody to try and do their best to create something like that for me and my blockchain, or I could just go out and hire the guy who created Haskell to begin with. And, you know, and that's the kind of power that somebody like Charles has for this project. That's just an example. But I mean, ultimately, you know, there are a lot of different things that Cardano is working on. And rather than kind of going out there and trying to do things like what's been done by people who are maybe familiar with it, but, you know, or whatever, he's going directly after the source. He's going directly to the people that have already created the XYZ and saying, here, we want to hire you to recreate this for our blockchain in a way that actually helps developers and helps the progression of the project. And it's just amazing. And I mean, when I think of Cardano in 2019, I just think, man, everybody that's holding this is I don't even know what else to say. I mean, everybody that's holding Cardano in 2019, I think, is going to be extremely happy. To me, getting Cardano at 7 cents right now is almost like people that bought into Ripple, you know, back when it was 7 cents and then it shot up to $3.30. That's close. The difference is that Cardano's decentralized and actually going to be used for a hell of a lot more stuff. Outside of that, just the infrastructure that they're laying out, the economical foundation that they're developing with the relationships and all of the different like African countries and basically emerging markets. It's ultimately what they're doing is they're laying a foundation and planting the Cardano seed in all of these emerging markets and helping bringing them up to speed and teaching them, training them how to develop for this project, how to develop for this blockchain. This isn't Here's the thing. A lot of people that I see, they're bitching about Cardano because it's not blown up all over the place yet. This isn't a flimsy project, people. This isn't one of those things where it's like, okay, we're going to fake it until we make it kind of projects and hope that we get somewhere. These guys are building shit. Like, it's not a matter of are things being developed? Is this project being developed by some of the greatest minds in the world? It's not really a matter of that. Where they've fallen short is actually relaying the information in a easy to swallow pill for the public. That's just one kind of aspect of it. And we talked about it. I told him, I said, look, your roadmap is great, but it's a huge convoluted jungle of stuff that the majority of people aren't going to be able to just sift through here and be like, oh, okay, I get it. I mean, look at that. It's a wall of shit. I mean, pardon my French, but it's just, there's so much going on, so many numbers and and a lot of, just stuff that it's not going to make a lot of sense to a lot of people. And I said, you guys need a layman's page to do your speaking to the people who maybe they bought Cardano because of an influencer's, story or personal interest in the project, and so they're kind of following suit, they're getting involved in the project, but they want to be able to understand what's happening. That was part of the Cardano Foundation's role that they've completely dropped the ball on. That's just one small thing, but it's something that I think would make a huge difference, because a lot of people want to be able to go and see where it's at, what's happening, and what's coming without having to be a PhD themselves. And I think that's kind of one of the issues that Cardano's been having. But some of the stuff that these guys are building right now is ridiculous. I mean, offline transactions, I don't even know if that's a public thing yet, but being able to basically bump phones and transfer cash, transfer Cardano from one person to another without even having to be connected online at the time, that's a pretty big deal. Like, that's pretty badass stuff. And I'm telling you, that's not even a drop in the bucket of what's happening. I am more excited about holding Cardano than I am any other project right now. That's the honest to God truth. I believe that Cardano is going to be that sleeper project that, when all of this stuff comes together, I think it's going to blow minds. I think it's going to absolutely blow people's minds away, and I'm absolutely confident. And, look, if a lot of this stuff were claims made by, honestly, probably anybody other than Charles with his experience and his relationships and rapport, and just, I'm sure Charles could call up pretty much anybody in technology and be like, hey, this is Charles Hoskinson, I got a job for you. And they'll be like, what do you want me to do, Charles? Like, they're down. Like, that's just the way I look at him. So, I mean, that it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this video because I do want you guys to see it. And I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to take a look at what kind of goings on has been happening in chat while I've been talking. Here we go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Charles Hoskinson, Chief Executive Officer of IOHK. I wanted to make a brief statement today about some of the events that have transpired over the last 24 hours. So in the beginning, 3 years ago, IOHK took a contract to work on the Cardano project. One of our goals while working on the Cardano project was a separation and balance of powers. So traditionally, when cryptocurrency is launched, there is a central foundation. And that foundation is responsible for issuing a token, for community management, exchange listing, the construction of the cryptocurrency, and business development, as well as encouraging people to build on top of the protocol. The problem with this approach is that there's just simply too much power and responsibility in one entity, and there is a natural organizational resistance towards decentralization. In other words, for the sake of expediency or for the sake of progress or competitiveness, there's a tendency just to keep things in their centralized format to move as quickly.
Hold on, I want to make a quick comment. I just saw in the comments, somebody made a comment. In Africa, Ethiopia, etc., people make $10 a month. They can't afford to gamble with cryptocurrency. You're wrong. You're wrong. Charles actually told me a story of a couple stories, but one in particular of a 80-year-old, I think he said an 80-year-old West African woman who made $40 a month. She lived on $40 a month. She owns Bitcoin. And he said, how the hell did you get Bitcoin? And she said, somebody came through selling it. And he thought, okay, this is probably a scam. So he helped her out, and he looked it up. Sure enough, man, it was legit. She had 0.001 Bitcoin held on like a paper wallet or some sort of co-owned, some sort of system, but she did in fact own Bitcoin, and he was blown away. The fact of the matter is, and I told him, I'm like, isn't that crazy? An 80-year-old woman in Africa owns Bitcoin, while the majority of the who makes $40 a month, mind you, that could have been like a part of her life savings if she had such. I don't know. But somebody at 80 years old owning Bitcoin in Africa, where there's very little infrastructure for a lot of this stuff, and so many people in the rest of the world are oblivious and still don't even understand what the hell it is. Go figure. And that's basically, I think, one of the reasons why Charles loves Africa and why they're doing so much development over there, because they are in the know and they're working on it and they're building this infrastructure so that, look, you're not going to even have to worry about Bitcoin because everybody's going to be working off of the Cardano blockchain for a multitude of reasons. That's what this foundation's all about.
As possible. So while scoping out the project, one of our requests and requirements was a separation of concerns and balancing of power. IOHK is a technology and science and engineering company. We wanted to take over the components involving the peer review, the research and development, as well as the actual construction of Cardano. This was an enormously complicated process and task, and there are natural checks and balances. On the science side, the peer review process, and on the engineering side, things like third-party code reviews, for example, with Kadelsky, or through any other firm, in addition to open source contributions to the project and code review. Emergo took upon itself to handle the venture capital and business development side of Cardano. So basically, their responsibility was to worry about how are we going to get partnerships and alliances and people to build on top of the protocol, and how do we make sure that those partnerships and alliances are as meaningful as possible to encourage the growth of the ecosystem. But then there was a gap in the middle, which was things like who is going to worry about creation of meetup groups and making sure that the community has timely and accurate information. Things like procuring of the trademarks, things like regulatory outreach. For example, a large percentage of the initial ADA distribution was in Japan. And getting listed on a Japanese exchange seems to require a great degree of regulatory lobbying and pushing. So this was the duty of the Cardano Foundation, amongst others. To lead the Cardano Foundation, Michael Parsons was selected as a chairman to be a custodian. In a sense, his responsibility was to construct a board, hire an executive director, and then serve mostly as a kind of a community ambassador, not in an operational role. After the foundation was formally established in Switzerland in 2016, Mr. Parsons has sat in that role for quite a bit of time, and the board has diminished now to 2 people, Chairman Parsons and a legally required Swiss citizen. In this case, it's Pascal Schmidt. Pascal's a good guy, and we like him. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any diversity in that board. We've seen evidence of nepotism in that Bruce's son-in-law is doing work there. His wife is doing work, Julie Milligan, and we haven't really seen the foundation execute on many of its core responsibilities and duties. Now, we wanted to be a good citizen, and we figured that maybe they just needed a bit more time, and maybe they just needed a bit more breathing space and room to learn how to manage a community effectively and eventually construct a diverse and transparent board. As the months came by and our relationship continued to strain, it became very clear to IOHK and Emergo that we're probably not going to effectively work with the foundation the way it's structured. So what we decided to do was to gradually take upon ourselves more and more of the foundation's duties. IOHK and Emergo started hiring some community development people. Emergo, for example, recently hired Sebastian, and Jane Wild and others in our team have been working very hard at trying to bridge that gap. IOHK personnel have been attending meetup groups, and I personally have traveled extensively to attempt to assure the community that things are okay and to educate them about the Cardano protocol. Personally, I've gone to over 27 countries this year, in addition to my normal responsibilities as CEO of IOHK. Things came to a head when it became clear to us that we're probably not going to get board diversity ever at the moment with Michael Parsons as chairman of the foundation. And also things came to a head when it became clear to us that the foundation doesn't seem to have, with its current leadership, any desire to meaningfully invest in its core responsibilities and duties. In addition, we question many of their current funding allocations. The FP Complete Audit, for example. The other is the large research program. Our understanding is in the millions of dollars if it's paid to conclusion to Zien for the Distributed Futures program, which seems to have limited commercial value to Cardano. And there seems to be absolutely no plan for commercialization of any of this technology. Every one of these dollars competes for other, in our view, better ways of allocating. We expressed these concerns numerous times. We expressed concerns about the lack of transparency and board diversity numerous times, some cases written, some cases orally. And it's reached the point where we just don't want to fight about it anymore. And the reality is that since the very beginning, Cardano has always been a federated ecosystem, and it does not require a foundation to be successful. Just like Bitcoin didn't need the Bitcoin Foundation for it to reach its levels of success, Cardano no more needs a Cardano Foundation. And so as a consequence, we've decided to just move without them. So what this effectively means is that IOHK and Emurgo will be taking on all of the responsibilities that the Cardano Foundation was historically tasked with. And since we've been doing many of these things already, and we're hiring people to do these things, we will probably not have much disruption, if any, in our current roadmap. We still fully anticipate Shelley to ship, as we've stated, early next year. We still fully anticipate the methodologies and processes that we selected using formal methods to continue to move along. We still have a dense Rolodeck of people who want to build on the protocol and are very excited about our technology. And if anything, by bringing community management more tightly into Emurgo and IOHK, it probably will allow us to better carry out our mission. In addition, it probably will accelerate certain plans. For example, we need to start getting towards the Cardano improvement proposal process. We need to start having meaningful discussions about when and how we're going to roll out a treasury system for Cardano, as well as blockchain-based governance. And now that we're more directly focused on this, instead of relying upon the foundation to eventually initiate some sort of process, I think that sooner than we'd expect in our roadmap that we can actually begin seeing these projects and processes roll out. Now, we did lose some resources as the money put into the foundation is unfortunately inaccessible to the community. But the good news is that we did gain some extra money thanks to the appreciation of Bitcoin. And so as a consequence, we are fully funded to handle these additional services and tasks that we didn't anticipate. So we believe that the best days of Cardano are ahead of us. And we also believe that while this disruption is unpleasant, and we hope that wiser minds prevail, and eventually Mr. Parsons steps aside and allows a proper board of directors to be appointed, and allows the foundation to resume its role, becoming an effective member of this community. In the interim, it will not disrupt Cardano's ability to succeed in market. Furthermore, it's not going to disrupt normal operations. The network is still strong. We're going to wake up every day and still write code. Emurgo wakes up every day and still finds new opportunities. And what's really amazing to me is the strength of our community as a whole. For example, I was in South Korea, and one of the most rewarding moments of my life was when these two Korean people came up to me, a couple. They couldn't have been more than 25 or 26, and they had this lovely 6-month-old daughter. And they said, "You'll never guess what we named her." And I said, "What?" And they said, "Ada." We have a lot of great fans, and they really have huge hearts. And it's really exciting to see what they've been able to deliver and contribute to our ecosystem. So as a consequence, that's not going to stop or change. It's not like Tezos or other situations where this would in some way inhibit our ability to execute, because the foundation is not in control of IOHK's funding nor Emurgo's. We've already been paid in full for the services rendered and to be rendered. As a consequence, they're not in a position to veto or stop us from moving unilaterally in different directions, nor can they mandate how the protocol will be developed or how funds will be spent on the development of the protocol. Thus, we're okay, and the community's okay. We'd also like to thank the Guardians of Cardano. They recently released a letter just a few hours ago. It outlines some of their independent investigative journalism that they've done and concerns that they have, and they're not going to go away. If anything, their movement's going to grow, and I really look forward to seeing them in person, and from the conferences to the meetup groups, and getting good advice from them about how we should approach governance in the future. The reality is all cryptocurrencies, regardless of where they come from, whether they come from a strong centralized foundation or an organic movement distributed from proof of work like Bitcoin, do eventually require some form of governance to decide how to spend funds available and where to go. For example, when to fork, how to fork, what technology to adopt. Now, we as an ecosystem are no different. And to be frank, this is probably one of our first and won't be our last governance major milestones. It's not when everybody agrees and everything's going great when you're tested. It's when you have disagreements, and it's how you're able to overcome those disagreements and move forward from those disagreements. And at the moment, you have two of the three parties in a position where they feel that the other party really isn't doing their job. And what was really amazing is that the community itself came together and formed autonomously its own group to point that out. And then we decided that it was good to make an open statement as well and support and say that we hear you, we acknowledge you, and we feel your pain. And if this is the Cardano community moving forward, I really do believe that we have a chance to become one of the strongest, if not the strongest communities and cryptocurrencies on market. And I really do feel we have a chance to deliver on our vision and our dream. So that's all I have to say. Things are okay. I'm okay. Cardano's okay. IOHK is not going anywhere. We're going to be here for quite some time. We'll be spending a bit more money on our side to compensate for the things that haven't happened. We've already hired one new person. His name is Robin, and he starts November 1st. He's an open source director. He'll be responsible for drafting our initial version of the Cardano improvement proposal process, as well as handling software versioning and figuring out a way to move us from UTrack into Git issues and get the project into more of an open source foundation. We're going to be accelerating our spending on treasury research, as well as accelerating our spending on DAO research, so that we can begin constructing a completely new foundation, and one that you guys will be able to participate in. We're also going to hire some community managers, as is Emergo, and they've already begun that process with Miyataki over in Japan. And we'll also start taking on some of the law and policy and lobbying research that the foundation was responsible for. So we'll look for some STO and ICO partners to better understand how those will be done on our platform. We'll start working with some research centers throughout the world and make some announcements at some point. It's a big expense for us, but it's okay. We believe in Cardano and we want this project to succeed, as does Emergo. I'd like to thank Ken Kodama and Manmeet Singh and the others at Emergo for their patience and understanding and support throughout this entire process. And again, I'd like to thank the community for their incredible support and patience throughout this process. Overall, I think things are going to be just fine. So don't worry. Nothing materially has changed today as from yesterday. Things are about the same. We're just kind of airing our grievances in honor of the great Festivus. Tomorrow is going to be a better day, and the day after will be better. So I'm heading to Canada on Sunday to go to CCS. It's a major cryptographic conference where Ouroboros was accepted for Ouroboros Genesis. And I'll go ahead and do an AMA while I'm there. So keep your questions in the Reddit, and we'll definitely circle back to that. In the meantime, thanks for your time, and I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.
So there you have it. I mean, they're trimming the fat. That's basically what it boils down to. And, it's not necessarily the easiest thing that they're doing, but, as I understand it, this has been kind of coming for 2 to 3 years. I mean, it's not, it's a pain, obviously, but it's something that's ultimately going to help Charles and the rest of the guys who are actually committed to the project to push it forward to where this vision really is, instead of just kind of having to deal with internal speed bumps, I guess you can say. People not carrying their own weight or playing their role as described. So it's a huge pain in the ass, but the fact of the matter is that the very idea that Charles came out and put this video out, thing is, for whatever reasons, the videos that Charles does, it's like, because it's not a lot of flash and trash and hype and stuff like that, because he does these like personal videos fairly frequently, and they don't seem to get a whole hell of a lot of views, all things considered. And I think, the fact that he put that kind of video out there to really break everything down for people says a lot. It's one of those things that me hearing him kind of define the relationship and kind of what the kink in the hose has been and how they're alleviating that pressure, to me just makes me feel even stronger. And I think that, for someone like me who's been a very bold kind of basically somebody who's appreciated Cardano and really values what it's going to bring to the world ultimately, I love it. I love Charles. I mean, like, I just love him. I do. And like, you know, talking to him on a personal level, I mean, it's like all of my initial instincts on the man were just, I mean, he was telling me a lot of stories about, you know, employees and just different things that have happened. And, you know, he uses the term family a lot when he describes the team. And I get it. And it's not like he's just throwing these terms out there. You could tell, like, the guy is very, very sincere. Like, this isn't, Charles, to me, he is not the kind of dude who is doing all of this for fame and fortune. He's doing all of this for legacy. He's doing which to me is a big deal. You know, it's something that I contemplate a lot. What is my legacy? And with somebody as mentally and financially capable of realizing his legacy in Cardano and his contribution to, I mean, as crazy as it sounds being on such a giant scale, contribution to society. Look, man, I don't give a shit what happens. I mean, cut who you got to cut, do what you got to do. I'm here to support you every step of the way, and I know that a lot of my viewers are as well, as you see in chat. You know, I don't even know if Charles will ever see this video, but the fact of the matter is I'm on board 100%. And I'm very, very much looking forward to meeting him in February and hanging out and listening to him and just because if you think about it, we've got a ways until February. I mean, we're still like 17 weeks out from this thing. And I will say that for companies that are trying to get on board, if you wait too long, price for exhibit booths is going to double in December. Come December 1st, if you haven't registered your booth for Chainwise, which you can do right here, you click book your booth. I even say it, you know, register before December 1st or price is going to double on December 2nd. Because too many people, we keep talking to all these people. Here's the pricing right there. $1,500 for a booth right now. It's a steal given everything that's going to be coming with it. All of the exposure and just the people. The fact that we're selling tickets like we are right now so far in advance is crazy. So I really think, and you know, I mean, we've got Alex Mashinsky who's speaking. We've got a lot of cool people that are talking and doing lectures and things at this convention. And the whole idea, man, is you come curious, leave an expert, and there are going to be a lot of people in Cincinnati. I mean, and the reality is if Cincinnati, this is the thing, what's sad but true is, if you can draw 1,000 people to something in Cincinnati, you can draw 10,000 people to the same thing anywhere else in the country. And as sad as that sounds, it's true. And so, you know, my hope is that Cincinnati really adopts this. I mean, I want to see 5,000 people go through this thing over the course of the weekend. And I think there's a lot of potential for that, especially as we continue to add speakers and people start realizing that just because the ticket price is only $20 doesn't mean this isn't a very, very legitimate convention. I'm just not doing this as a cash grab, which is what I told everybody before I even started on this thing and started really signing papers and bringing things together. This is not about me or anybody that's helping me make a ton of money. This is about doing something that's ultimately something that I think is going to be very valuable for the community. And once this starts hitting national television and things, oh, and that's another thing. I just re-upped for another year. I would say a full year. With Biz TV, because we're making plans, and I want to take this whole Biz TV thing to the next level. And the episodes, the television, the content that we're going to be putting in their hands after this convention is going to be insane. It's going to be awesome. So that's that. Let me take a quick look at chat, see where everybody's at. Love ADA, love ADA 2, also on board. Petition signed. ADA heavy, baby. Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, even people that bought in, like when I very first started talking about ADA, when I first started talking about Cardano, it was 33 cents. And then it shot up within weeks to $1.30. Within weeks, 2 weeks, it was up $1.30. I mean, it was basically up $1. And then, of course, like everything else in the market, it crashed with the cycle as well. And so now it's sitting at 7 cents, which is crazy. And it's sitting at 7 cents because of the you know, some of the reasons that Charles, I mean, basically, as I call it, the kink in the hose. And people that bought it at 33 cents or higher, bought it at $1, bought it at $1.30, averaging down is a very, very powerful way. For those of you that don't understand averaging down, it's simple. Very simple concept. You buy something, you buy a stock or a crypto at $1. Then the value drops to 75 cents. Well, you can either double down. Doubling down is, let's say I bought 1,000 at $1, so I spent $1,000. Price goes down to 75 cents. I buy another 1,000. Well, then I bought them cheaper. Basically, I got it for like $7.50. And you continue buying as the price falls until you think the price has stopped falling, and then you can double down or you can continue averaging down. Ultimately, you're averaging down the price of your original purchases. So if you bought at $1, then you bought at 75 cents, then you bought more at 50 cents, and it continued to fall. Well, as you're accumulating, you're ultimately lowering the price by which you make profit on the original purchase that you made. And you can continue doing that. And ultimately, the more of it you own at a lower price point, the less you have to sell the original purchase price to make a profit. Dollar cost average. There you go. Didn't Charles leave ADA? Don't even start stupid rumors. Of course not. Didn't you just watch the video? That's silly. I don't think people understand because they hear Cardano Foundation. Charles is the CEO of IOHK, like input output basically. And then you've got Emergo. You have 3 different groups working together with Cardano. The Cardano Foundation as a whole, for the most part, is really they were supposed to handle things like, like marketing, things like, what's the word I'm looking for? Jeez, oh Pete's, trademarks, things like that. Trying to handle more of the business side of things. Charles is a tech genius. Charles is a development genius. That's what their roles were. Cardano Foundation was ultimately consider the best way to look at Cardano Foundation is like Flava Flav to Digital Underground, but Flava Flav doesn't say shit. That's the best way to describe it. So if you got Flava Flav as a part of Digital Underground and he doesn't even have a voice and he's not doing anything, he's sitting in the back smoking weed while everyone is out there doing their job, performing, making music, hitting tours, all that. Flava Flav's getting cut. So, that's the best and easiest way of describing it. In as layman's as I could possibly get. Let's take a look at Mr. Parsons. Flava Flav. I want to see what Mr. Parsons looks like. There we go. That's Flava Flav. Obviously, I'm joking. I'm kidding. This is not Mr. Parsons. But that's just the easiest analogy. Flava Flav was the hype man for Digital Underground. Pretty sure. Pretty positive. Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's like, obviously, there's a lot more to it than that. But that's pretty much it. Better analogy, please. Oh, wow. Well, I'm feeling a little ornery. So, yeah. But that's honestly, to me, that's the best way. It's like, yeah, Cardano Foundation was in charge. They're supposed to be doing a lot of marketing, a lot of the trademark business. Charles gave me an example of like a trademark issue that the guys at the Cardano Foundation acted on in a way that was completely against the very nature of open source development and open source applications. And he made him reverse it. And he was just like, what are you guys doing? I mean, he's just had enough, man. That's all it boils down to. He's had enough. And I applaud him. Not only do I applaud him for making these bold moves, I mean, look, like I said, this is the man's legacy, and he's just not in a position to let anybody else screw around with it. And you're either going to do your job or you're going to get out, and that's it. So, Tupac. It was Tupac. I thought it was Flavor Flav. Who was Flavor Flav? Hold on, dang it! I should have read it because now I'm curious. Completely unrelated, but whatever. Well, at least spelled it wrong. I guess it was Flavor Flav. All right. Public Enemy. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Tupac was their hype man. Tupac was great, man. Dear Mama. I remember I gave that song to my mom. I was like, this is kind of hard, Mom, but this is my way of saying I love you. I gave her Dear Mama. My mom wasn't a prostitute, nor was she addicted to any drugs or anything else. She didn't beat me, but for whatever reason, I felt that song related to me. All right, guys. Tomorrow, I'm pretty sure tomorrow I'm going to be going live with Cliff High once again. So we'll see how that works out. I'm pretty sure. I'm not going to say what time or anything, but should be going live tomorrow with Cliff High because there's a lot of craziness going on, and just thought I'd find out what the man thought. Like, what are his thoughts about what's happening in the market, and you know, where do we go from here? Not to mention the whole 10-10-2018, the market crash. I mean, 10-10-2018, I put that video out the day before, and the next day the stock market took a huge shit. And so did the crypto market. Well, this happened on 10... yeah, well, that's the 10th. So this started the 10th, and then we ended up here, which was the 11th. So, yeah, and, you know, the other side of that is what's going to happen on November 11th, 2018. So we'll find out. I'm curious what Cliff High has to say about it. So, you guys, hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. And we're at 56 minutes. I'm going to call it a night. I love you guys. Miss you, mean it. Crow your coins, and I'll see you again real soon. Have a good evening, folks. Thanks for joining me.